Story 1. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband's friend to tell his wife to stop trying to visit my husband when she thinks I'm not there? My husband's primary residence is in Italy, mine is in the UK. On one of my trips to Italy, his housekeeper told me that the wife of my husband's friend kept trying to visit him while I wasn't there. She said she came over every single day, even though most days he wasn't even home or was working from home, so didn't even say hello to her. We went out together as a group, so I brought it up to her when it was just the two of us and asked her to stop. I told her my husband doesn't like being disturbed while he works, so she should really arrange something instead of just turning up. She waved me off and acted like it was no big deal. I asked her several more times to stop, but she continued to do it the minute I was back in the UK every single time. In the end, I was so fed up I contacted her husband and asked him to tell his wife to stop. He wasn't aware this was going on and said he would speak to her. His wife is now angry at me and is claiming I'm implying things about the type of woman she is. She also said I was treating her like her husband's property and I was pathetic for telling him to just admit she made me insecure. My husband is mostly indifferent, but also told me I had caused chaos in their friendship group as everybody knows what's going on and it's causing a lot of gossip. Am I the a-hole? I'm all for people having friends of, any gender, opposite gender, whatever, I don't think it's a big deal. I do think it's weird that she's going to visit him like every single day and her husband is also unaware of that. Like, that seems weird, right? That's odd. I don't have any friend who tries to see me every single day. My best friend and I, we chat online a lot, but not every day, so I don't know. That does feel weird, and I feel the fact that you kind of brought up that you weren't comfortable and she just dismissed you. I don't think you're an a-hole, but I think also that your husband is just like, you shouldn't have done that. You're causing a stir up. It's like, no, you're not. She is. The other person is, because it's weird. Story 2. Deny my ability to use my backyard when my dog is dying? All right, you'll no longer be able to enjoy yours. A couple months ago, our lovely older pit bull was fighting cancer and we had the painful decision made to have her put down. She was low on energy at this point, moving was difficult, and getting her to eat was near impossible. With that, one of the only things we wanted to give her was one last day outside in the backyard. So the day before she was to be put to sleep in the early morning, I set out to set up a tent in our backyard and filled it inside and outside with things our dog absolutely loved. I noticed as I was getting things set up, the neighbor behind us was placing sticks and leaves in their fire pit. Normally I wouldn't care at all, but the poor dog is having trouble breathing at this point. I figured it wouldn't be an imposition to let them know my current situation and asked if they could postpone the burning just for today. The wife let me know that they're just going to be burning a few things to clear their yard and it won't last very long at all, and she gave me some level of understanding about the dog. With that, she lit up the fire and the smoke billowed into my backyard. For some context, the neighbor is directly behind my property. I have about a 100-foot by 100-foot backyard, and theirs is about 50-foot length by 100 feet wide. Just to add to this, I don't mind if people are burning things around me. I'm not particularly fond of it, but if it makes them happy, that makes me happy. A few hours go by, I notice they're still outside adding more things to the fire. I approach and ask them kindly on an ETA, trying to be as patient and understanding as possible. They say they're almost done. A few hours later, there is a raging fire outside, and I can visibly see the husband outside pointing at my home, yelling, and then adding actual campfire logs, no longer leaves and sticks. At this moment, I am not angry, I'm just very sad. Poor dog isn't going to have the last day we wanted to give her. We would take her somewhere else, but don't want to stress her, so we spent the rest of the day inside. Later that night, around 9 p.m., as the sun is setting, I go out for a walk and notice the damn fire is still roaring. Mind you, as it was most of the time, with no one there. At this point, I'm now peed off and start looking into state laws, city laws, and everything in between. From this, I found out that my city has an ordinance that clearly states a fire pit cannot be within 50 feet of a structure. I could, if I wanted to, contact the city and have it stopped simply because no matter where they place it in their backyard, it will be within 50 feet of their home, but that seems non-permanent enough. I was already considering getting a fence installed and already had multiple quotes. It was hard to swallow a bill for $15,000. But within 24 hours of this situation, guess what I paid for? The fence will be installed within the next couple of weeks around the edge of my property, and their fire pit is no further away than 10 feet from my fence. Can't take a single day away from your fire pit for a dying dog? Well, enjoy never using it ever again. Absolutely F those neighbors, and I say this because I love animals, I love my dogs, and this tugged on my heartstrings. But what jerks? You couldn't even just say, no, we really have this whole thing planned out today, I'm sorry, we can't, if there's anything we can do to help steer the smoke away. They didn't even do that. They just lied. They just lied and made you waste your time so you couldn't give your dog its last day. No, F them. They're, oh my gosh, you should have both called the police and put up the fence and just, I know I say don't start feuds with neighbors over little things, but what a crappy thing for them to do. So, yeah, I fully support this feud. Don't mess with dogs. Story 3. Tear open our driveway to pour concrete? Fine, you'll probably enjoy having to dig the concrete out of the ground. Twice. Not about me, but about a guy I used to work with. He was a mountain of a guy, a huge Turk, but the kindest guy I ever met. He'd do anything for people he liked. Nobody ever saw anybody get on his bad side until that fateful day. As it happens, he was also our delivery driver, and he spent most of the days on the road in his semi, leaving before dawn and returning quite late, if at all, that day. Our warehouse had a driveway large enough for him to pull the semi into and load/unload. The supermarket next door decided to do some renovations and expand. When they started construction, they started tearing out their brick parking lot and getting close to tearing out our driveway. Boss runs out, tells them where our property line is, and is assured they won't cross onto our property. Everybody goes back inside, nobody worries, until there's suddenly a raging bear Turk standing in the break room shouting about how the driveway has been torn up and he can't get his lorry in. We go out, and indeed, the driveway is half missing and there's a concrete building foundation poured in. Construction workers are nowhere in sight. The boss sends the supermarket manager an email message and everybody goes home. Next day, we arrive at the site of a very angry construction workers. Apparently, the delivery driver went back in the middle of the night with some bolt cutters, liberated about 30 of their shopping carts, and stuck them into the drying concrete in various comical positions. Overnight, the concrete hardened and the carts became quite difficult to remove. Construction crews bring in the jackhammers, and 4 days later, most of the concrete is gone, and they start preparing for another pour, this time leaving our driveway intact. Foundation comes out fine, everything is looking good. At that time, my boss showed up with the announcement that he had a survey done, and while they didn't tear open our driveway the second time, they were still closer to our property line than allowed, and he'd already filed a complaint to get the concrete removed. Took them another week of jackhammering to get it out. I guess my one question would be, was the first thing, getting it dug up and all that stuff and pouring the concrete, was that the grocery store's fault? Or where the construction company, I would assume, doesn't work for the grocery store. They're contractors or whatever. And so I feel like destroying the grocery store carts might not have been the best route. I don't know, but I'd also be mad because you did tell the grocery store or whatever. I'm a little confused as to exactly who did what, aside from, the delivery driver giving them a very hard time. Funny, I will say that, and I guess all the labor that had to be done to free those and fix it all up was on the construction workers, so I don't hate this revenge, but it does seem maybe a little much. I'm not sure. What do you think? Story 4. Am I the a-hole for leaving my in-laws' Christmas dinner after I found out that they didn't make accommodations for me? I got invited to my fiance's family Christmas celebratory dinner. It's my first Christmas with them. I've always been picky about what I eat. Can't help it, and it has to do with psychological factors, childhood, and personal likes and dislikes. Before accepting their invite, I let future mother-in-law know that I wouldn't be eating the traditional food at their celebration and showed her a variety of dishes to choose from to accommodate me. She refused and told me to bring my own dish. I said if I had to bring my own dish when I'm a guest, then I better stay at home then. We went back and forth, and I insisted I wouldn't come if accommodations weren't being made. I just thought it was a simple request, and future mother-in-law would have agreed if she really wanted me there. My fiancé agreed that I should bring my own dish, but I didn't. When we arrived there and I saw that no accommodations were made, I got up, got my things, and walked out and went home. My future mother-in-law and fiancé were shocked. I got tons of calls and texts from them both, and my fiancé came home lashing out, calling me selfish and spoiled to walk out like that over a dish that his mom didn't have to make for me, and that it was my responsibility to feed myself. How is it my responsibility to feed myself when I'm a guest? Makes no sense to me. I told him this, and he accused me of starting crap and ruining my first Christmas with his family and disrespecting his mom. Now he's continuously saying I effed up and should have sucked it up for the family's sake. I find myself a little bit torn on this. Yeah, if you invite someone, you should try to make accommodations for them. You've asked them to be a guest. But I guess, they're also inviting you because you're with their son, it sounds like. And I don't know, how many dishes is she already having to make, for everyone else and stuff? And, I don't know. I'm always kind of iffy about this, because I know I like to try and make stuff so that whatever food I'm making will accommodate anyone that I'm having over, but I also know that some people for Christmas dinner are, busting their butts, working, non-stop for 24 hours, putting together some big elaborate feast, and if you're not going to eat any of it, there's nothing wrong with, bringing a dish and stuff. I don't know. I really don't know where I land on this. You said some of it, there's some psychological stuff, and you can't do it, but then other of it is just likes and dislikes. I don't know. I feel like if I was called to someone's family dinner, for Thanksgiving, and I went, well, I don't like turkey. Make me some chicken. I don't think I could get away with that, I don't know. I really don't know where I land on this. I don't know what the whole spread was, what work was going into it. I don't have enough information, but I'm not on your side, but I don't know if I'm on their side either, so Story 5. Why did they get in for free? Let me fix that. I used to work as a bouncer/doorman at a bar that charged a $2 cover on weekend nights. Everyone paid to get in, with only one exception: party buses. We had an agreement with the different party bus operators that if they brought their groups to our bar, they would get in for free. Lively crowds are good for business. So, one night I'm working and a guy comes in with his girlfriend and I tell him it's $2 a head. He grumbles about it and I give him the same line I tell anyone who complains. A $2 cover is the cheapest thing you will buy here tonight. If you can't afford it, you might want to go somewhere else. He doesn't want to look cheap in front of his lady, so of course he pays. A couple minutes later, he's back saying he just talked to some people who didn't have to pay and wants to know why he got singled out. I tell him about the party bus rule and say those people must have come in on a bus. He motioned towards some people sitting with his girlfriend and tells me, "You don't charge my friends, and they didn't come on a bus." I recognized the people, and when they came in, I asked them if they were from the bus, and they said yes. So they lied to me. It happens, and normally I wouldn't worry about it. I tell him, well, it sounds like I made a mistake. I guess it's their lucky night. That's my hint to him that he should let it go. That's not good enough for him. He gets louder and keeps demanding I refund his $4 to keep things fair. I've had it with him. I tell him, you're right. It's not fair. Let me fix it for you. He smirks because he thinks he's getting a refund, but he doesn't realize all I'm giving is some sweet MC. His smirk disappears when I stepped away from the cash drawer and walked over to where his friends were sitting. In my most polite voice, I said, "Hey, sorry to bother you guys, but there's a $2 cover tonight, and your friend here told me you didn't pay. I must have misheard you when I asked if you were with the party bus, but I need to collect the cover from you now." The looks of betrayal they gave him were priceless. I collected their covers, smiled, and loudly thanked him for being so honest. Then I walked back to my post and watched them proceed to rip him a new one. It's a $2 cover for a bar. Just pay the $2 cover. It's not that much. I mean, I know for some folks it is, but the person's right. If a $2 cover is enough to be like, oh, this is gonna be a strain on me, You probably shouldn't be going out to a bar. It's expensive, and you're going to drink and make bad choices and spend more money you don't have. And that $2 cannot be what makes or breaks you. Like, I'm very understanding of not having money. I've not had money most of my life. But then I know not to do that. So it's just a $2 cover. Just pay it and go have your night. It is not worth starting up a fuss just to save $2, or I guess $4 in this case. Oh. Story 6. I was pressured into a threesome by my boyfriend and enjoyed it, but not because of him. So I, 21 female, have been with my boyfriend, 22 male, for 3 years. He's known I was bi since we started dating and had never really said anything about it till last year, after he met my college friend, Maya. Maya is also bi and very beautiful, but while honest about her experience, isn't one to brag. When in a group playing drinking games last year, Maya opened up about a threesome she had before, and I guess that's when my boyfriend got the idea. I had been against it when he first brought it up, but eventually he wore me down. When I finally said yes, he immediately suggested Maya, which, looking back, was his aim from the start. When we approached Maya, she was down, and we had made plans that worked for everyone's schedule. Maya texted me separately multiple times to make sure I was on board and comfortable. As she put it, it just didn't seem my style. I told her I was on board and to not worry, that me and my boyfriend had talked about it. When the day came, she surprisingly took the lead, which I don't think my boyfriend was expecting either. I'll spare you the details, but she made sure the focus was me and actually instructed my boyfriend on what to do. If he tried to focus on her, she'd gently redirect him to me, saying things like, "Nah, look how pretty your girlfriend is when you do this." She barely let him touch her without asking me, "Do you want to do blank?" She would praise me a lot throughout, something I didn't even realize I liked. She also checked on both of us through the whole thing. I honestly think it was the best me and my boyfriend ever had. After it was over, she did what she called aftercare and made us comfortable. I don't remember me or my boyfriend falling asleep, but when we woke up, breakfast was made. Maya is a chef professionally, so it was amazing. She had also left us a note as she had to work in the afternoon and was sorry she couldn't stay. I feel like the dynamic between me and my boyfriend has changed since I know we have to talk about it, but I don't even know what to say. So I'm leaving you for Maya. No, I'm kidding. Look, if you like threesomes, fair game to you. That's totally fine. I think it can be perfectly healthy for people that are all completely down with it. I don't think I'd ever want to. I don't know. It just, it's too much pressure, you know? But, yeah, boyfriend insisted on it, and now our poster has realized, wow, it took someone else being there for me to have the best time of my life with the boyfriend. She might have some questions about him, might have some questions about Maya. Boyfriend, by your insisting on this, you have opened up a whole can of worms, and you do not get to complain at all, one bit. You opened these doors, and you gotta deal with what's gonna come through. And what came through was Maya kicking butt and making people scream. Story 7. Entitled Parents Moved My Stuff at Beach, Got Ticketed for Theft. I'm on vacation at a touristy beach spot. Went out mid-morning to the beach before the crowds and set up my towel, umbrella, chair, cooler, etc. Around 11 a.m. while lying on my towel tanning with headphones, I get a tap on my shoulder. Open my eyes to a middle-aged woman standing over me and her family and young kids starting to set up multiple umbrellas, chairs, toys about 10 feet behind me. When I took my headphones out, the woman proceeded to tell me that my bathing suit is inappropriate to be around her children, and so I will need to move. Note, bathing suit is a cheeky bikini bottom, but not a thong. I tell her I was there first. They can find somewhere else to set up if it offends her. She proceeds to say there's no other close spots to the water. I tell her I'm not moving and put headphones back in. About an hour later, I decide to hop in the water for a dip to cool off. While in the water, I look at the shoreline, and the woman has packed up my stuff with her husband and is carrying it away from the area. I hop out of the water and get a lifeguard and call beach security while I watch them walking my stuff up the beach to relocate it. Beach security and myself approach them. They try to play dumb and say it's their stuff, and so they are asked to open the wallet to show ID. Surprise, it's my ID. Cops are then called, and I chose to press charges for theft. and I got my spot back since the family was escorted/kicked off the beach. Folks, if you're gonna be that entitled, you also have to be a little more clever about things. You can't just be blatantly this dumb. Like, like, you're not gonna, why did you think you would get away with that? Why? I mean, I assumed their thought was that, you know, she would like come running around, what are you doing with my stuff? And they'd be like, what are you gonna do? Try and stop us. I mean, A, just don't be entitled. Go somewhere else on the beach. Why do entitled, awful people have to go to nice places? Just go to other places with other awful, entitled people. Like, oh, maybe just go be grumpy somewhere else. You can all be grumpy at each other and just, this is my spot. No, it's mine. How dare you? I'm going to call a manager. Like, you can all just yell at each other all day long because that's apparently what gets you off. So you all just form a little club, go grump at each other, and the rest of us will just be polite and mind our own business and enjoy life. Doesn't that sound great? Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.